Ancient manuscripts were written on three different surfaces: papyri, parchment, and paper. New Testament manuscripts have some of each of these categories. The largest number are parchment manuscripts. The latest are paper. The earliest, papyri. Papyrus is a reed that grows primarily along the banks of the Nile River in Egypt. There are about 125 New Testament papyri known to exist today. All are fragmentary, but some include a great deal of text. For example, P46, a manuscript produced in about AD 200, has most of Paul's letters in it. It is the earliest manuscript of Paul's letters in existence. P75, an early 3rd century papyrus, has most of Luke and John. P45, another 3rd century papyrus, originally contained all 4 Gospels in their entirety. Now, most of the Gospel materials remain, but there are several gaps. We have as many as a dozen papyrus manuscripts written within a century of the completion of the New Testament, though the dates of some of these may be a little later. The early copies of the New Testament are significantly closer in date to the originals than virtually any other piece of Greco-Roman literature. New Testament papyri are cataloged with a very simple shelf number system. All of them start with the letter P. This is then followed by a number. The first papyrus to be cataloged, therefore, is P1, and it's housed at the University of Pennsylvania. The numbering sequence used is generally in the order of the papyrus's discovery. It has nothing to do with the specific contents, although all of them are New Testament papyri, and it also has nothing to do with the date. Papyri were beaten down, then one large sheet of fibers was laid flat, and a second large sheet, laid at a 90-degree angle, was placed on top of the first. The papyrus fibers would naturally adhere to each other. Papyrus sheets were cheap and readily available in the ancient world. Their consistency and thickness is similar to grocery bags, paper, not plastic. Unfortunately, only the driest climates have been able to preserve ancient papyri. Consequently, almost all of our New Testament papyri come from Egypt, even though not all of these were produced in Egypt. The New Testament books themselves were no doubt written on papyri, and all of them must have turned to dust within a few decades of composition from constant use and constant copying. Finding a New Testament papyrus is like finding a needle in the proverbial haystack. There are well over 100,000 documents written on papyri that are known to exist today, yet only 1/10 of 1% of these are New Testament papyri. Although some excavation is still going on, the vast bulk of papyri were dug up over a century ago. They are sitting in libraries in Europe, America, and Australia, waiting for scholars to examine them and decipher them. In this field, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. But previously unknown New Testament papyri are slowly coming to light, averaging about 1 a year for the past 125 years.